Because of the nature of Nazgul as a character and topics throughout the history of this channel, I just thought it would be good for me to cover base right now with the situation in the East Slavic countries. I am recording this on February 21st in the United States in the late afternoon. I'm sure that things are going to change very rapidly, but the gist of what has happened is that Luhansk and Donetsk have been recognized by the Russian Federation, and the Russian Federation has sent troops within these breakaway republics from Ukraine. This, of course, follows a public broadcast by Vladimir Putin, the president of the Russian Federation, where he demonized Ukrainian independence. He accused the West of breaking numerous treaties and essentially said that Ukraine is an artificial state created during the communist era, and that the current Ukraine, which is basically a Western puppet state, which is also, according to him, collapsing economically, is a grave security risk to the Russian Federation. Throughout the winter of 2021 and 2022, numerous people have been commenting, most hilariously the US government, that Russia would invade Ukraine. And now it seems that it's obviously here, at least the very early stages of it. Now, where do we go from here? I have a set of 4 charts, which I would assume if we have a full-on invasion that these would follow. The first one is a repeat of the 2008 Russo-Georgian War, which occurred during a Winter Olympics, I believe, where 2 breakaway republics of Georgia, following the Georgian Color Revolution, the Rose Revolution, were recognized by Russia and were reportedly under assault by the Georgian military attempting to unify its country. Russia intervened on behalf of the 2 rebellious republics, Abkhazia and South Odessa, established their full claim territory, approached the Georgian capital, and then withdrew, definitively winning a limited war. So the first kind of chart I have here is that, where Russia advances towards Kiev and takes the full territory of Luhansk and Donetsk republics, and then leaves. Once this happens, Russia could directly annex them. I have a second chart for a direct annexation, or leave them to be independent, as it did in 2008. The third chart I have is the advance to the Dnieper, where Russia advances and takes the entire east side of Dnieper River, which is supposedly Russian majority speaking. One would assume that if Russia went this far to upset the New World Order established in 91 and to a greater extent 1945, that they would just directly annex all this territory. And then the last one is the Novo-Russia plan, where Russia takes the entire coastline, leaves Ukraine a landlocked rump state of Western Ukraine, which is, the most vehemently Ukrainian part. And Transnistria of Moldova would take part, and it would probably be annexed along with Luhansk and Donetsk republics. I have Russia directly approaching Kiev in all of these. I do not think that Russia would directly engage in a urban combat scenario against Kiev, as the casualties would be very intense, and it would make a lot of sense to advance towards Kiev. And in all 4 of these, I have Russian advance towards Kiev to hold the city hostage and force Ukrainian surrender. Keep in mind, in all of these scenarios, there's a possibility of regime change for Ukraine, for there to be the establishment of another president or an entire another republic or so on. Zelensky is, of course, in Munich right now. He's fled the country. The Ukrainian armed forces are nowhere near as well mobilized as the Russian armed forces. So it's a possibility. I assume that this video will be out of date relatively quickly. To some extent, this video is going to be contradicted, of course. I do think that the 4 routes would likely be followed. I don't think that Russia would directly annex the far western reaches of Ukraine because of very intense anti-Russian beliefs there. The Ukrainian language is almost solely spoken in those regions. To occupy western Ukraine and Kiev would result in a very terrible guerrilla war. Any kind of World War III scenario or direct NATO involvement is extremely unlikely because the President of the United States, the President of France, the Prime Minister of Great Britain, and the Chancellor of Germany have all publicly stated that they will not defend Ukraine, and they have all withdrawn their embassies and have told their citizens to flee the country before any invasion was imminent. The sanctions are probably, as we speak, happening as this very video is being recorded. We should expect global energy prices to skyrocket. Gas in the United States will probably break $4, maybe even $5 at the pump, which will exasperate the global economic crisis which the COVID virus and its response has caused. Please pray for the people of Ukraine and the Donbass that they may be safe. Serp Kerp out.